Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to this latest episode of Black Bunny Hole. Hello. I am Sheba. I am the captain of this here ship. And welcome to the Black Bunny Hole where I fuck around so you can find out. Thanks for joining me. How was your week? Hot one today, right? 92 degrees. So, oof. Spring slash summer is upon us, and I, for one, am very happy. Great. Looking good. Yeah, so on this episode, you can see by the Chiron below me, we are doing Oprah Winfrey. Oprah Winfrey, the beautiful, the all powerful Oprah Winfrey. Before we get into, her Wikipedia, I just want to do a little pre work to let you know why I wanted to choose her, amongst many reasons. You know, Oprah. Come on, she's great. One of the reasons, though, is I actually have already met Oprah. We've already interviewed. She's already interviewed me. If you'll check out here, this is
Get back to the Maryland contingent. I'm from PG County, Maryland.
Oh, PG County.
Pretty Girls County.
What about y'all up there? Prince George's.
Yep.
George's County. Okay.
I went to school out
Where are
in.
you from? Where did you go, Kim? Where did you went to?
I went to law school out in Baltimore.
Oh, okay. Okay. You can't be from Prince George's County and not hang out with the Baltimoreans, right?
We're essentially the same.
True.
Kindred spirits.
Essentially. Sherry, you're from?
Did y'all hear Miss Oprah Winfrey keekeeing with yours truly, Sheba? You might be like, Sheba, why did she keep calling you Kim? Why was the name tag next to you Kim? I know, not ideal. She does think my name is Kim. It's a whole story, but I was standing in for some woman named Kim. I was a stand-in. Oprah was going to do this like a Zoom. What does she call it? Like a podcast class about it's for her book club, for this book Cast, which you should read, by Isabel Wilkerson. And it was like the pandemic had kind of just happened, and so they were practicing Zoom stuff, and so they needed someone to sit in for Kim, who was going to be a student in the class, and it was just a rehearsal to get the lighting down. Oprah Winfrey didn't have to come to her own rehearsal. She's got better things to do, but she is a professional, and she came. And after she was done, she was like, okay, I think we got it. And then she stayed to go through and ask all of the stand-ins. She asked, our name and, just a little bit about us. And I told her that my name was Kim. I responded to Kim when she was like, Kim, because I was like the 11th person to go, and everyone else before me had, when they called her by their stand-in name, no one corrected her. And I'm not going to be the first one to correct Oprah. So I was like, all right, Kim from PG County is about to make an impression. So can't wait to tell her this story one day. So now that you know my connection, let's get into it. What can we learn about Oprah? Oh my goodness. Mother. Sheba Small for right now. Okay. So Oprah Gail Winfrey. An interesting thing about her, just right off the bat, is that her name is actually ORPAH, ORPAH, after the biblical figure, Ruth's sister in the Bible. I know, Ruth, who? I know, this woman Naomi had two sons. They went to Moab when there was this famine in Bethlehem, and the two sons married these Moab girls, Ruth and Orpah. When the dudes died, Naomi was like, all right, I'm gonna go back to Judah or whatever, and you girls don't come with me. You'll be a foreigner in a strange land. You should stay here. Anyway, long story short, Orpah stayed, and they've kind of framed her throughout history then as like the bad one, the person who like stayed in her homeland, with the Philistines rather than listening to her, disobeying her mother-in-law and, going back. Anyway, Billy says, wow, right off the bat, did not know that about her name. I know, right? Isn't that an interesting tidbit? Anyway, so she was from Mississippi and everyone kept mispronouncing her name. So Oprah stuck. What a fun, interesting way to get her name. Okay, so her mother, Vernita Lee, was a housemaid, an unmarried teenage mother. Her father was Vernon Winfrey, a coal miner turned barber turned city councilman who was in the armed forces when she was born. Let me do Sheba big. Yeah, okay, so I always think that's, I think people's like childhood and their personal life are kind of like really where you get the meat of who this person is rather than just their, capitalistic pursuits and accolades and things. So I was like, where did freaking ORPAH come from? And yeah, she lived in poverty. Her mother, Vernita, and her father, Vernon, I read on another thing, they had like met once, banged it out, and ORPAH was the result of that meeting. And so they were never married. I also can like totally imagine how that went. Like 18-year-old, 17, 18-year-old Vernita meeting 20-ish year old Vernon and being like, I'm Vernita. And he's like, I'm Vernon. They're like, I think we should get hitched. And then they have a tryst. Birth control is not readily available, certainly for rural Black people. And thus, ORPAH was born. Blah, 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 blah. So after Oprah was born, her mom goes north. And she spent 6 years, Oprah spent 6 years living in rural poverty with her maternal grandmother, Hattie Mae Presley Lee, who I was also, so her grandmother was so poor that Winfrey often wore dresses made of potato sacks, which people made fun of her for. The other children made fun of her for that, which, where did those children learn to make fun of poverty? Think that was a natural thing, or do you think maybe the adults taught them something about that? Okay, another interesting thing though about her grandmother, because it says throughout that like she was raised by her grandmother for a little bit in her grandmother's house, in her maternal grandmother's thing. And I'm like, how come, so where did I see it? Was it this one? Let's see. Okay. Hattie Mae Winfrey, 1900, born in 1900, died 1963 at the age of 62, which is pretty young. Was married to Erlister Lee, who died in 1959. So a couple of years before Hattie died. This is Oprah's grandparents. Okay, when was she born again? 1954. He died in 1959. I'm just always curious. Okay, so she was raised in like her grandmother's house, but why don't we call it the grandfather's house? He was there. He was older. He was, conceivably like the father figure there. And so it's curious that it's framed often that she was raised in rural poverty with her maternal grandmother. Her grandmother had to make potato sack dresses. Her grandmother taught her to read at the age of 3, took her to a local church where Oprah was nicknamed the preacher for her ability to recite Bible verses. Had a natural talent for vocal performance. I love that. Next sentence, though, says, when Winfrey was a child, her grandmother was reportedly abusive. That's tough. I'm interested in like who this grandmother was, that she was married to this guy who created at least one daughter who was in poverty. And so at age 6, Oprah moved to Milwaukee with her mom, who was less supportive and encouraging than her reportedly abusive grandmother had been, largely as a result of the long hours she worked as a maid. So yeah, Oprah's mom was about 19 when she was born. So what, 25, working as a maid in Milwaukee, not her home, state or city. So around this time, her mom had given birth to another daughter, Winfrey's younger half sister, Patricia, who the mom actually had to give up for adoption when Oprah was like 8 years old. I say that. Was this the one? So what Oprah learned from her mother, okay, Essence, you can let the shame go. So this is Oprah, her sister, Patricia, who she didn't know about until she was an adult, her mom and Oprah. So let's go back. Okay, Oprah's living with her mom. Her mom gives birth to another kid. By 1962, Lee was having difficulty raising both her daughters, so Oprah was temporarily sent to live with her father in Nashville, Tennessee. While Winfrey was in Nashville, her mom had another daughter who was put up for adoption. Who was put up for adoption in the hopes of easing the financial straits that had led to Oprah's mom being on welfare, and was later also named Patricia. That's an interesting thing. She had two daughters and named them both Patricia. Which I get it, I'm not trying to remember all these names. You kidding me? Okay. Winfrey didn't know that she had a second half sister named Patricia until 2010. By the time Winfrey moved back with her mother, Lee had also given birth to a half brother. At the age of 8, she was baptized. Okay, so sad, trigger warning, sexual abuse and assault and child abuse. Winfrey was molested by a cousin, her cousin, uncle, and a family friend, starting when she was 9 years old. And that's something she announced on an episode of TV regarding sexual abuse. Apparently, she discussed the alleged abuse with family members at the age of 24, but they reportedly refused to believe her account. Winfrey once commented that she had chosen not to be a mother because she had not been mothered well. At 13, after suffering what she described as years of abuse, Winfrey ran away from home. When she was 14, she became pregnant, but her son was born prematurely and died a couple weeks after birth. Big picture of Oprah, beautiful. So from this, I wanted to read. Yeah, so her mom really struggled with the shame of giving up her younger sister, Patricia, for adoption. Salud. After leaving her mom's house, Oprah realized that her mom was still carrying the shame that would have been put upon her in 1963. And therefore, she hasn't been able to release herself to fully embrace Patricia and embrace this miracle that has really happened to our family. Patricia had gone to the tabloids to reveal that Winfrey had given up a child after becoming pregnant at 14 following sexual abuse. The pair were able to patch things up, Oprah and her sister, because Oprah was like, why are you telling all my business to these tabloids? So they were able to patch things up after Oprah kind of realized that her shame was the same as her mother's. Let me see, can I make this any bigger? I can. There we go. That doesn't really help you guys. Sorry. For the first time, I realized that was a gift to me. Pat going to the tabloids and telling the story about me having the baby was a gift because it released me from the shame that my mother still carries today. I thought, had she not done that, I'd still be exactly where my mother is, stuck in the shame. You can't let that go. You can let that go. You can let the shame go. There are millions of people all over the country who are just like you, who have given up their children because they knew at the time that they could not provide the best for them. So Vernita, you can let that go. That's what Oprah was saying to her mother. And yeah, that's real. I read in another one that when she got pregnant, she tried to hide it for 7 months. But, when she got fat. So she kind of had to tell her parents eventually, and she told her father on the same day that she went into premature labor. And yeah, after that, oh, did I? Let me see. Let me see if I can find this other thing. Oprah, mother, father. I had seen this like one website. It was like, was it this? There was like this one thing. Let me see. Supervision. Sorry, I Googled this on my phone earlier, and so I just wanna. Was it this one? I think it was this one. No, I guess not. Alright. This is actually a kind of interesting little piece that I'm reading. Um, so, at 6 years old, she was sent to join her mom and two half brothers in a Milwaukee ghetto. Uh, at 12 years old, she was sent to live with her father. Feeling secure and happy for a brief period, she began making speeches at social gatherings and churches. Um, and at one time earned $500 for a speech. She knew then that she wanted to be paid to talk. I feel you, girl. That is exactly what I felt. Okay, anyway, she was called back by her mother, and she had to leave the safety of her father's home. Even this is kind of like told in an interesting way. So, in one thing that I'd seen, it said that uh, her mother's lack of supervision enabled Oprah to be sexually abused by a family member and a family friend and a cousin. I'm like, that's like such a strange way to phrase that because, I understand how difficult it is to obtain childcare nowadays. Certainly back in the day, the idea that like a woman can't leave her child with family without, expecting them to be assaulted is like really rough, really not great. And after when she told people later, they didn't believe her. She's like, oof. I also saw that. Oh, okay. So she has this baby at 14. It dies. She's feeling a lot of stuff. And she reads Maya Angelou's "I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings," and Maya Angelou is also a woman who gave birth as a teen, who was sexually abused by a family member, and who gave birth as a teen. And so, Oprah reads this and is able to kind of get herself back on track. Okay, she goes to a high school in Milwaukee. She has success in this Upward Bound program, which I'm pretty sure that Angela Bassett was also in something like that. She was transferred to an affluent suburban high school. Upon transferring, she was continually reminded of her poverty as she rode the bus with fellow African Americans, some of whom were servants in the households of her white classmates, which that's really interesting. This is such interesting backstory and context that we don't have for people who are, alive today from our time. We sometimes have this idea of like, it was a different time, but like, no, it wasn't. It was this time. Like, these people are our peers and we can learn something from like what that's like. So she began to rebel, steal money from her mom in an effort to keep up with her free spending peers. As a result, her mom once again sent her to live in Nashville, although this time she didn't take her back. Oof, how like tough. It's like, also Vernon, like, why did you maybe not marry this woman? Why do we have to do this whole convoluted thing? I guess doesn't matter. Turned out okay. But anyway, Vernon was strict but encouraging and made her education a priority. Winfrey became an honor student. She was voted most popular girl. She joined her high school speech team, placed second in the nation in dramatic interpretation. My girl, yes. I love that. Okay, at 17, she won the Miss Black Tennessee beauty pageant. She also attracted the attention of a local black radio station, which hired her to do the news part-time. She won an oratory contest when she was in college. She won an oratory contest, which actually secured her a full scholarship to Tennessee State. Love it. So she apparently didn't deliver her final paper and receive her degree until 1987, by which time she was already a successful television personality. Winfrey's career in media apparently would not have surprised her grandmother, who once said that ever since Winfrey could talk, she was on stage. As a child, she played games interviewing her corncob dolls and the crows on the fence of her family property. Oh my God, I love this. I would watch that. I would watch that movie. As a child, blah, blah, blah. Winfrey later acknowledged her grandmother's influence, saying it was Hattie Mae who had encouraged her to speak in public and gave me a positive sense of myself. Love. Okay, so this is kind of, her stuff in television, other media. I think we're going to jump to her personal life and see what we have there. So I don't care about her homes, but I do care about her romantic history. Winfrey's high school sweetheart. Okay, can I make this even bigger so you can see a little? What happens to 300s? Yeah, you can kind of see that if you really wanted to. Okay, so romantic history. Her high school sweetheart was this guy, Anthony Oley. They had like an innocent little courtship in senior year. The two spoke of getting married, but Anthony claims to have always secretly known that Winfrey was destined for a far greater life than he could ever provide. She broke up with him on Valentine's Day of her senior year. Good for you, Anthony, recognizing her greatness, understanding what you could or could not provide for her, and that she was going to have a better life without you. Now that's love, Anthony. Very cool. In 1971, several months after breaking up with this guy, Winfrey meets William Bubba Taylor at Tennessee State University. He was his family owned like a mortician thing. They owned like a funeral home, and so he was gonna go into that anyway. So this guy Bubba was Winfrey's first intense to die for love affair. Winfrey helped get this guy a job at the radio station, and according to Merritt, did everything to keep him, including literally begging him on her knees to stay with her. Taylor, however, was unwilling to leave Nashville with Winfrey when she moved to Baltimore to work at WJZ-TV in June 1976. By the way, she moves to Baltimore, which is where I am, and which is what we were keekeeing about on that interview you saw. Oprah moves to Baltimore for her first big kind of TV gig, and this man refuses to go with her. And I'm really proud of her though for choosing herself over this dude who at least was honest about I know that you are literally begging me on your hands and knees to stay. But no, sorry, I've got a good old job lined up here, and your stuff is great, but I've got my stuff, and it's just ugh. Anyway, they shared a deep love that Oprah will never forget. I, on the other hand, hope that guy is like, crap, damn it, what was stupid. I hope he is ruining the day that he saw Oprah and was like, no, I don't think so. In the 1970s, she had a romantic relationship with John Tesh, who's an American pianist and composer of pop music, and a radio host and television presenter. Okay, apparently, her biographer claims that this guy split with her over the pressures of an interracial relationship. Wow, super brave. Man, I'm so sorry for my mothers and sisters and aunts and grandmothers. It's just the men, man, they're so afraid. Ugh. When WJZ TV management criticized Winfrey for crying on air while reporting tragedies, and when they were unhappy with her physical appearance, especially when her hair fell out as a result of a bad perm. Winfrey turned to a reporter there, Lloyd Kramer, for comfort. Quote, Lloyd was just the best. That man loved me even when I was bald. He was wonderful. He stuck with me through the whole demoralizing experience. That man was the most fun romance I ever had. And that's really important, to have fun in romance. And to have someone who supports you, even when you don't hold up to these white supremacist standards that, you know, people say we have to adhere to in order to be successful. Get it, mama. Okay. So, when Kramer moved to NBC in New York, Winfrey had a love affair with a married man who had no intention of leaving his wife. Ooh, isn't that a story that is still, like, you know, things we, like, hear today? So whenever I hear women who are like, oh, you know, he's married and but he's having trouble, like, disentangling. Girl, no, he's not. He's playing you. And anyway, Winfrey would later recall, I'd had a relationship with a man for 4 years. I wasn't living with him. I'd never lived with anyone, and I thought I was worthless without him. The more he rejected me, the more I wanted him. I felt depleted, powerless. At the end, I was down on the floor on my knees, groveling and pleading with him. Now, the second time in not that many years that Oprah Winfrey has been on her knees groveling for some man, some nameless man, to be with her, to choose her. Winfrey became so depressed that on September 8th, she read a suicide note to her best friend, Gail King, instructing King to water her plants. Apparently, she said that suicide note has been much overplayed. She wouldn't kill herself. She'd be afraid the minute I did it, something really good would happen and I'd miss it. That's exactly me too. Fear of missing out. Like, you know, even if things like were getting so bad, I would be like, I don't know. What if a deus ex machina comes and, you know, saves me, or I like get out and escape at the last minute? And so I would just, I think certainly at this time, I totally get her. But I also get being suicidal. Okay, so according to Winfrey, her emotional turmoil gradually turned into a weight problem. Quote, the reason I gained so much weight in the first place and the reason I had such a sorry history of abusive relationships with men was I just needed approval so much. I needed everyone to like me because I didn't like myself much. So I'd end up with these cruel, self-absorbed guys who'd tell me how selfish I was. And I'd say, oh, thank you, you're so right, and be grateful to them because I had no sense that I deserved anything else, which is also why I gained so much weight later on. It was the perfect way of cushioning myself against the world's disapproval. Man. You know, it's interesting. I actually, watch a lot of like interventions and My 600-Pound Life because I just understand that we're all kind of the same. Like, I am no different from any of these people. If I had traumatic things happen to me, I might see drugs, alcohol, food, sex, relationships, work as ways to distract myself from the trauma, as ways to like kind of still find some purpose and find some safety in my body. Yeah, I needed everyone to like me because I didn't like myself much. So I'd end up in these cruel, self-absorbed guys who'd tell me how selfish I was. And I'd say, oh, thank you, you're right, and be grateful to them. I also really relate to that, honestly. Like, my ex-husband was very good at being like, I'm selfish. I'm just like, women are the ones who, divorce more often. Like, women give up on men. I just want him for money. I am like not supportive. All of these things that like make me want to disprove him and be like, no, I'm not selfish. Like, I'm not just here for money. Here, let me show you by paying for all of these things, like I am on your side. Let me show you in all these different ways and things. And like, my mind was fertile to believe this guy, that like, my family didn't really like me, that they didn't really think I was cool, that, me and other lawyers are bad people who are manipulative assholes who, just use people and discard them. And I was just like, I don't think that's me. I don't want that to be me, but I am a Scorpio. we're told that we're, manipulative and crazy and passionate. And I'm also a woman who we're told that we're manipulative and, cold and calculating. And so I was like dealing with all of these different things and fighting against this like identity this other person was trying to give me. And I was very willing to kind of believe him for a long time. And anyway, I had to go to therapy, had to go to sex therapy, had to figure out what was going on, and realize like, okay, this is deeper than this guy is trying to make it. This is more complex than he's trying to make it. That I'm this bad person. I'm this cartoonishly bad person. He's this cartoonishly good person, and my job is to convince him to stay with me on whatever terms he'll keep me. And I think a lot of women are taught that. And I think by the end of this bunny hole, I think we'll see that maybe we don't have to do that. Okay, anyway, Winfrey later confessed to smoking crack cocaine with a man she was romantically involved with during the same era. She explained on her show, "I always felt that the drug itself is not the problem, but that I was addicted to the man. I can't think of anything I wouldn't have done for that man." I think women know that. I think women who have children thinking that will be a good enough show that like, look, I'm here for you. Like, I want to, hold myself out in the world as like, I want to attach myself to this person. I want to help continue his bloodline. And they think that will buy them a marriage contract. They think it will buy them a loving relationship. They think it will buy them someone who will be like, you're not selfish. You're so generous. I love you so much. You're amazing. And I think they get stuck with a baby and no man. Kind of like Oprah's mom. But then it turned out really great for Oprah's mom. Oprah became something big and took care of her parents in a very loving, generous way, in a way that wasn't really modeled to her. So that's awesome. Winfrey was allegedly involved in a second drug-related love affair, which also, me, girl, like my ex-husband started as a weed dealer. Wasn't very good at it, but it counts, okay? Self-proclaimed former boyfriend Randolph Cook said they lived together for several months in 1985 and did drugs. In 1997, Cook tried to sue Winfrey for $20 million for allegedly blocking a tell-all book about their relationship. I don't know how that worked, but, I recognize that one day my ex-husband might, sue me for something, true statements that I've said about him. And that makes sense. I kind of realized early on in that first marriage that I was going to be taking care of this man one way or the other. He is unwilling to support himself financially, and so I'm going to have to do it. So worth it, man. The opposite of it's cheaper to keep her. Like, it's kind of your mental health and your sanity, your peace of mind is more valuable than any money, like any monetary value. In the mid-1980s, Winfrey briefly dated movie critic Roger Ebert, who, by the way, is married to another Black woman, Chaz Ebert. Look at him. Okay, Roger. Got you a Black woman, an American attorney and businesswoman. Okay. I love this for them. So yeah, okay, Roger Ebert. Roger Ebert, apparently, Oprah credits him with advising her to take her show into syndication. Made my girl a millionaire. I love that. Thank you, white man. In 1985, I didn't really understand this. Haitian filmmaker claims he appeared as a guest on a lookalike segment and began a relationship with Winfrey involving romantic evenings at home, candlelit baths, and dinners with Michael Jordan and Danny Glover. Okay, Reginald Chevalier. Chevalier says Winfrey ended the relationship when she met Stedman, who's Stedman? I understand, like, growing up, we kind of, like, made fun of him. He was, like, this kept man. He was, like, Mr. Oprah. Apparently, they've been together since 1986. They were engaged in 92, but the ceremony never took place. Yeah. He's from Jersey. He got a bachelor's. He played college basketball. Black causes, blah, blah, blah. Okay, PR. Okay. He founded Athletes Against Drugs. Love that. Public speaking, blah, blah, blah. Public personal life. So he's been the subject of much publicity, most notably chronicling his relationship with Oprah. Cool. Um, anyway, he must be pretty great, honestly. Oh, there's actually a funny thing about that I will. Oh, actually, where is it? Here we are. Remember when Tina Turner was wearing this like wig, this Tina Turner wig? Oprah was wearing this Tina Turner wig, and she like would not take it off.
I wouldn't take the wig off. I did it for the show. I did it for the next show. I think we did 5 or 6 shows around the country. And I started wearing it on the weekends. I started wearing it to bed. I started wearing it at all times. I would have on that Tina wig. And one day Stedman came and said to me, I don't know when somebody's going to tell you. Tell me what? Tell you that you are not Tina Turner.
That's pretty funny. And like, good for Stedman being like, girl, I don't think anyone else in the world has the courage to be honest with Oprah. You're not Tina Turner. And maybe that wig only works for her. And like, I love that. And like, I love the humor that it takes to be able to be like a public figure, a black woman in public, a darker skinned black woman who is not straight sized at all time, who struggles with weight and different things. It's hard to be that. And I imagine like it's pretty hard to find men who are confident in themselves, who are secure enough in their identity, in their masculinity, in their whatever, in order to be like, yes, girl, shine. I love it. Like, I'll stay in the East Wing. We can come and hang for dinner, whatever you want. That's great. That's awesome. And yeah, these other dudes, except for Roger Ebert. Okay, close friends. Her best friend since their early 20s is Gayle King. Love that. So since 1997, when Winfrey played the therapist on an episode of Ellen, in which Ellen comes out of the closet, because, in the 90s, people were really like super homophobic at that time. And so like they were really like, if you're on TV, you got to be straight. We were not able to really market you otherwise. And so it was a big deal when Ellen came out. So since then, though, Winfrey and Gayle have been the target of persistent rumors that they're gay. And to which Oprah responds, I understand that people think we're gay. There isn't a definition in our culture for this kind of bond between women. So I get it when people have to label it. How can you be this close without being sexual? I've told nearly everything there is to tell. All my stuff is out there. People think I'd be so ashamed of being gay that I wouldn't admit it. Oh, please. That's very true. I think that's very true. I think people, we're in a very patriarchal society where we haven't spent the effort to really study feelings and non-sexual intimacy, women's relationships. We kind of like, they're like, silly women, harpies, just blah. And like, if it's really deep and intimate, we assume they must be gay. How could two women be around each other all the time and not want to have sex? And they're two women who are not married. Lesies. And I love that she's, this is in 2006, and that she can point out that it's like, if you think I would be ashamed to be gay, that's, why? What you gonna do? I'm Oprah Winfrey. Let me see, blah, 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 at the top. Apparently, 19 co-anchor for the local evening, Chicago, launched your own production company, blah, blah, blah. Well, okay, I don't know. There's one thing I saw that she, at one point, oh, okay, here we go. Dubbed the queen of all media. She became the richest African American of the 20th century, and she was once the world's only black billionaire. Now, you know how I feel about billionaires. It's a white person's standard for goodness and a value. And I know, though, that, like, listen, Oprah has overcome and like many things. She has created beauty out of nothing. She is really the kingmaker. Dr. Oz, Dr. Phil, Ayanna. The only reason you know these people is because of Oprah. You know, lots of things. The only reason you're aware of that is because Oprah saw something and was like, I like this. These are my tastes, and let me give them to you guys. You should like them. And we eat it up. And I think that's really awesome. And so I think she has a lot more, you know, time to go as like what she, like we got to like wait and see what she's doing. Cause didn't you also see those things where it's like, oh, you know, Oprah got fired from her first job at 25 or something like that. Just the idea that like, you know, our life path is long and expansive and winding, and don't count yourself out yet. Billy says, it's funny how the right wing wants to fight against reality. They want to restrict human expressions down to forms that they find comfortable, want to push us back to where people have to hide basic truth. Absolutely. Isn't that the thing too? It's about like truth and, you know, going back to, you know, Oprah, like, learning from her mom and her sisters. Like, they were all battling this shame, which was based on like they weren't doing something that society tells us that we're supposed to, and so we have to keep it a secret. But keeping it, you know, being false about that is what's keeping a lot of us back. And so I'm really glad that my girl was able to grapple with that with her mother, her father, her siblings, because like that's something that not a lot of us are able to do, either because our parents or siblings are not with us on this plane anymore, or because we're too afraid. We're too afraid that we just don't do that. What's gonna happen? My mom's not gonna be able to take it. No, we can't do that. And it's just like, sometimes you gotta be brave, and it'll turn out okay. Okay. How long have we been on? Oh, 46 minutes. I love this. And I mean, we kind of know Oprah. I wanted to do a deeper dive on like the things that maybe we don't hear about as much on her. We know that she's super powerful. I think in 2007, she was ranked the most influential woman in the world. I'd like to say person. But yeah, okay. So by the mid 90s, she'd reinvented her show with a focus on literature, self-improvement, mindfulness, and spirituality. Though she's been criticized for unleashing a confession culture, promoting controversial self-help ideas, and having an emotion-centered approach, she's also been praised for overcoming adversity to become a benefactor to others. And I think that's real. I think the idea of like a confession culture, emotional-centered approaches, like, that's the way forward. Okay? And I know a lot of us, certainly those of us who are identified as male at birth, struggle, fear emotions. You've been taught to. Emotion. No, what? Those are women things. Or babies. Children and women. You know, not me. I have a very healthy amount of emotion, and I disregard it for logic whenever I need to. And I just think, like, that's why we have the world we do. A bunch of dudes misreading their emotional responses as logical ones, and thus the right ones, when really y'all just being emotional too. You just don't have the language that women do, that women were forced to develop, not because people like sat us down and taught us, but because we saw, all right, no one's going to give us the keys. We got to go take them ourselves. We got to go figure out what's going on and like learn how to navigate it. And I'm very impressed with Oprah and her ability to navigate. Emerged as a political force in 2008 with her endorsement of Barack Obama. In 2013, she was awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom. Received an honorary doctorate from Duke and Harvard. In 2008, she formed her own network, OWN. Um, so she popularized and revolutionized the tabloid talk show genre. Get it, bitch? She was inducted into the National Women's Hall of Fame, won many accolades, including 18 Daytime Emmys, a Tony, a Peabody, a Humanitarian Award. What was another cool thing that I saw about my girl? Let's see, what else in close friends? Okay, she's friends with Maria Shriver. Winfrey considered Maya Angelou her mentor and close friend. She called her her mother, sister, friend. Oh, if you guys know, I have. Hold on, gonna get a little PG-13. Oh, hold on. Let's see. Almost. Okay. So here you'll see on my thigh here. Oh, my hip. Okay. Anyway. That is a tattoo. Oh, crap. Nope. Sorry, going down, going up. That is a tattoo that I got a couple of years ago, right before I met Billy, honestly. That is based on a Maya Angelou poem called "Still I Rise." There are a bunch of diamonds right here. Like one of the lines in that poem is, "Does my sexiness upset you? Does it come as a surprise that I dance like I've got diamonds at the meeting of my thighs?" Anyway, so I got me some diamonds at the meeting of my thighs because I'm just very clever with tattoo ideas. Let me know if you want me to design a tattoo for you. Anyway, Oprah, who was also very inspired by Maya Angelou and who, like, reading I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings helped little baby Oprah out when she was going through a difficult time in her teens. She eventually got to be Maya Angelou's friend and mentor. How amazing. Winfrey hosted a week-long Caribbean cruise for Angelou and 150 guests for her 70th birthday through an extravagant 80th birthday celebration at Mar-a-Lago. Blah. Well, that sucks. So her personal wealth. She became a millionaire at age 32 when her talk show received national syndication, which Roger Ebert told her to do, so I love that. She negotiated ownership rights to the TV program, started her own production company. At the age of 41, she had a net worth of $340 million, replacing Bill Cosby as the only African American on the Forbes 400. Hell yes, back up Cosby. Not the first, and hopefully not the last time that a woman takes this guy down. By 2000, her net worth was $800 million. There's been a course taught at University of Illinois focusing on her business acumen. She was the highest paid television entertainer in the U.S. in 2006, earning $260 million during the year, 5 times the sum earned by the second place music executive, Simon Cowell. Excellent. Look at my girl, shattering these made up bullshit records that white men have like created. Killing it. Blah, blah, blah. She was the only black billionaire from 2004 to 2006. She's the first black woman billionaire in the world. That was achieved in 2003. Yeah, as of 2014, her net worth is in excess of 2.9 billion. So that was 2014. I actually just saw Forbes self-made women. She was just on this thing. I don't know why fucking Taylor Swift is at the beginning like that. She's like number 31 or something. But Oprah is number 13 with 2.5 billion. So that's great. Good for her. Yeah. Who else is on here? Judge Judy. Ooh, all these other people you don't really know. That's scary. Oh, Little Caesar's Pizza. Cool. Okay. Anyway, yeah. So lots of cool stuff. Gayle King must be an interesting person too. To be Oprah's best friend. King graduated from the University of Maryland with a degree in psychology. Hey, I also graduated from the University of Maryland, their School of Law, with a degree in law. But University of Maryland College Park was also right down the street from my house. Oh my gosh, so many like little connections to me and Oprah. So crazy. King worked as a production assistant at WJZ TV in Baltimore, which is where she met Oprah. Love that. And like now they're best friends, seem to be having a really great life, and I'm super happy for them. All right. Yeah. I think Ray King is, is the best woman, doing all these things. Oprahification, what does that mean? Oh, it means public confession as a form of therapy. By confessing intimate details about her weight problems, tumultuous love life, and sexual abuse, and crying alongside her guests, Winfrey has been credited with creating a new form of media communication known as rapport talk. Yeah, I think it works. She makes people care because she cares. That is Winfrey's genius and will be her legacy, as the changes she has wrought in the talk show continue to permeate our culture and shape our lives. I love that. Like a family member, it sits down to meals with us and talks to us in the lonely afternoons. Anyway, I think I'm gonna do that too. So that sounds pretty great. So in 1988, Miss magazine observed that in a society where fat is taboo, she made it in a medium that worships thin and celebrates a bland, white-featured, white-bread prettiness of body and personality. But Winfrey made fat sexy, elegant, damn near gorgeous with her drop-dead wardrobe, easy body language, and cheerful sensuality. Now, who does that sound like? Anyway, daytime talk shows impact on LGBT. Okay. Ooh. Sorry, just reading over these different things. The Oprah. All right. I think we get the gist. Homegirl's amazing. Let's go back to the top. Nope, all the way up. All the way up. Anyway, isn't that an interesting one? Wow. Okay, so yeah, Oprah's just doing her thing, being amazing. Did I have another thingy about her? Oh, this was an interesting tidbit. You know the black women or black people, you know the hair typing system, like I have 4C hair. Apparently, it's Oprah's stylist, this guy Andre Walker, who created the infamous hair chart, which has been noted to be a little bit racist. It goes these like different types of hair with kinky hair, and they kind of like describe it as unmanageable, as it's the one that you should be able to use heat and chemicals on to make it manageable, and it's just like that isn't how it has to be, very soft, shiny, hard to hold a curl. Hair tends to be oily, hard to damage, whereas like 4C is like, I don't know. Anyway, that's interesting that it's Oprah's hairstylist who kind of brought that into our life. And I'm interested in other ways in which Oprah has just really made herself a household name. She's been a mother to a lot of us. Was that in did y'all see AJ and the Queen? It was that show on Netflix with RuPaul. And the character Ru was playing in that loved Oprah and had seen every episode of her show, and she really helped to give him a sense of identity and to keep him going and stuff. And I think that's who Oprah is for so many people. She defies society's expectations, and each time society is like, you can't do it, or you have to do it this way, she's just like, I'm just gonna try it this other way and see if it works, and it always does. So love that for my sis. I have great expectations for her in the future. She got an awful lot of money, and we, the people, need more billionaires to start paying up for our, being in poverty and not revolting against the people who are hoarding the wealth, So hopefully she does that. Hopefully I can help. And yeah, so what was the most interesting fact you learned about Oprah Winfrey, or ORPAH, whatever you want to go with? And yeah, how has she inspired you? In what ways, how good are the chances that I'm going to meet her again and she's going to love me and she's going to be like my mentor, sister, friend, whatever my Angelou was to her, she'll be to me. I think so. All right. Well, thank you so much. I think this was a really interesting episode. Hold on. Sometimes just little things. Okay. Anyway, great episode. Learned a lot. There's so much to go into on her, and so I kind of like the direction we took it. Do you see yourself in any of the characters in this story? Yeah. So anyway, I think we fucked around and found out some really cool shit about Oprah and lots of people. So thank you so much. I'll see you next week. Who knows where we'll go, where the bunny hole will take us next week. I don't know. Okay. But anyway, love you. I'll see you soon. Let's put on this intro, outro video. We'll bring it up to size. Here we go. All right. Thank you so much. Thank you, Oprah. You're a really interesting person. I learned a lot, and I continue to learn from you. And y'all hoes should too. So, see ya. Thanks. Bye.